The hateful protesters have already won in a way. Normal law-abiding citizens have lost out. The overwhelming majority of Australians who support Israel and stand in solidarity with the Australian Jewish population, well, we've lost out too. Because the feral protesters who have been on our streets for more than 2 years, since only hours after more than 1,200 Israelis were slaughtered on October the 7th, 2023, well, today they've conspired to dominate the news and disrupt our lives again. Despite new hate speech laws, despite new protest laws, despite a massive and expensive police presence, many Sydney-siders from major companies were urged to work from home today to stay away from our nation's most important CBD because the protesters would be out and about. Some school events were cancelled. Traffic has been disrupted. All because people who pretend to support Palestine, but time and time again by their words and actions show us that all they really do is hate Israel, that they want a whole country and its people gone from the Middle East. All this trouble and disruption because these people want to force their hateful views on the rest of us. President Isaac Herzog called them out this morning when he paid his respects at Bondi soon after arriving.
These demonstrations, in most cases, what you hear and see comes to undermine and delegitimize our right, my nation's right, the nation which I am the head of state of its mere existence, and is contradictory to whatever ever was said and done by Australia.
Yeah, they're not pro-anything, they're anti-Israel. And that sort of antipathy towards a Jewish state, well, it stems from a dark place in human history. Now, let's be clear about these protesters. They didn't protest against the slaughter of innocent Israelis and taking of hostages after October the 7th, 2023. Quite the opposite, in fact. On the back of women and children and men and babies and grandparents being tortured, burned, raped, murdered and mutilated, the pro-Palestinian mobs took to our streets to celebrate this episode. They described it as a victory, and with their chants, they openly targeted Jews, supporters of Israel, Jews in our country. What level of depravity is this? Did these people take to the streets to protest against the evil theocratic regime in Iran, slaughtering tens of thousands of innocent Muslims in recent weeks? No, they did not. They've remained quiet on the atrocities of the Ayatollah and his henchmen, the same Ayatollah whose photo was paraded around by these protesters when they marched across the Harbour Bridge demonising Israel last year. No protest from these people about innocent Muslims mown down in their own streets by their own government. And did local activists protest against the killing of 15 innocent Australians at Bondi Beach 8 weeks ago? There weren't any marches in the streets condemning this slaughter. No, the so-called human rights activists, they were not moved to protest then. But they're out and about again today because the President of Israel has come to commemorate those Australian victims. President Herzog has come to comfort the survivors of Bondi and the Australian Jewish community that lives in fear, that's lived in fear since October the 7th and especially since the horrors of the Bondi Beach attack. Yet during the President's visit, these protesters, our fellow Australians, they meet this moment of humanity with hatred and division, with lies and demonisation. These are not serious people. These are not sensible people. These are not compassionate people. And they're not human rights activists. They're not decent people. They are bullies and haters and anarchists. They've fanned the flames of hatred in this country. They've created a climate in which unprecedented violence has occurred, And now they seek not just to disrupt the city and cities around this country tonight, they seek to disrupt the mourning and commemoration of innocent victims from Bondi. They shame our nation. They reveal the weakness of our governments and authorities, and surely they disgust all thinking Australians.